What's up? I'm on Rohan, all that good stuff. My day's going pretty good. Hopefully yours is. Can always leave a comment on that if you wish. Let love shine through, and no matter what it is you happen to do, no matter if it's an enemy or a friend that stands before you, to do such a thing requires more strength. Realize what it is that you should act under most logical reasons and why you should act in a way opposite of that. If it is you choose to do so, it shows strength because of the fact you choose to do so. Beyond what it is that one that would submit to something that is less than this. Cannot always be easy as it is you choose to do this. But it works better if it is you do such things as this. If you doubt upon what it is I say, I give you a challenge upon this day. The next time someone is mean or rude to you, be nice and see what kind of reaction you get when it is you're nice. The confusion and bewilderment upon the fact is worth it if you merely choose to do that. And ones that have morals, more likely to back you up as it is you prove at that point you have morals. Which one looks better? One to look as if you're better, or one that is humble as it is they choose? To act the opposite, is it pride that happens to be shown by you? Nothing wrong with being a little bit proud, but when you do such things that make you arrogant instead of proud, that is when the issue begins. Show love in everything you do, regardless if there is an enemy in the presence of you. Or if they're an enemy, they think different than you. Show that out of the two views, yours is better regardless of their view. To show love when all others would not. This shows true strength in this spot. For not only does it show upon the fact you have control, facts that you show in this mist, proves one thing when it is you choose to do this. You demand respect. You have honor. Does not mean that at times you do not show the opposite. Means at first, until they prove, you must show the opposite. to let it show through even with that. Yet more proof. You have more strength than that. Does that mean let one walk upon you? Just means you never know who it is or what watches you. There may be one that needs to see that witness. That you're above one that is petty with their witness. To show love in what it is you do. This unique trait will give you a respect that is only deserved and shown and received by you. One of the hardest things you can do is look at one that does not like you and smile. It shows pure strength at that point, beyond what any other can show in any kind of strength. It shows what it is that you think and show is fair. Does it not? But still, it does not mean you can allow yourself to be walked upon either, though. Maybe set a limit, set a boundary, anything beyond that limit. But to show it as long as you possibly can. Shows something that very few ever can. For it takes an extremely amount of control to do such things of a display of self-control. Not always easy. That I'm sure you already know. But to give strife back when it is you only see strife, it's not the proper way to get what it is that you desire, which is life. Never know, your enemy can become your friend. If it is, they have an enemy that is similar, which makes them your friend. But if you do not show such things, would you be able to use that in the end? To show such things, very few will ever be able to show such things. Does not mean that it cannot just be tough at times as well. Many ways of love can be shown, if that is something that you do not understand or know. Many definitions for one word. Do you know how many for that just single word? More than most could ever know. More than most will ever choose to show. Beyond that, you never know what kind of benefits come from that. In a moment of a split-second decision, to be compassionate, to show love in that decision. How could you do such a thing if it is you show hatred for hatred? Then later, because of your ignorant show of hatred, you ruin a connection you could have had that could make the situation bad. In a time when it is that you could have used, if it was that only that love you showed amongst your decision to one of your current or future foes. The enemy of my friend. If it is my enemy has an enemy that is my enemy, does that not make them my friend? What happens if it is you do not show this love? Will this enemy of your enemy work with or against? When if you were to show the love, you can work together against. Let love shine through. You never know what the future holds. That enemy that you might see that way at that time may have an opportunity to change their ways at some time. To be closer to what it is that you would call a friend. Want a small example of this? There's a movie that displays this. Star Wars. Look at Darth Vader at the end. A prime example, my friend. To show such things can be hard, though, especially when extra noise is involved. Critics and other things can help you or distract you from making the right decision in these such things. You never know when it is that this love you made it show might help you later. Unless you choose not to show it, then you cannot use it later. You must think of, in a lack of ways saying it, the politics as far as that. Even in the midst of your situation that may be bad, there are politics. So why make a decision that is bad? May not feel happy about the decision now. But what happens 5 or 10, maybe 20 years from now? Do you know? This person, by then, they might be able to grow. No longer be an enemy. Do you wish to just discredit them and label them a permanent enemy? Where is the logic along with this? Never know. By the show of love that you do, with whatever it is you do this, it may inspire them to change upon what it is that makes them an enemy to you. At that present time. Or maybe later on, in their allotted time, they look back and wonder upon why is it they made that decision at that time. Let love shine through. See what kind of benefits and other things could possibly come to you. But do not let it be something that one will walk upon because of what it is they see. To let it shine through in everything you do. Not very easy. Not very easy to do. I know you might feel that. How is it that I can do that? They did such and such, whatever it may be. Maybe at that time, they had no love to see. Love is a powerful force. Draws ones together, draws them apart. The opposite of love is hate. Interesting thing about both. If you show the one, whichever one it is you pick to show, it only produces more. But with one there's life, and one there's death. Which one would you rather have? Life or death? Sure, you may not understand how many wars have been made over love. How many wars have been over hate? How many new lives have been made over hate? How many changes upon what it is that someone thinks? How many changes upon one and the way they act? For each word, think of the answer of that. Would it not be better to show love than hate? Then why is it that people forget such things as this? How many flies do you catch with vinegar? How many flies do you catch with honey? Think of this. So, out of the two, which one is love and which one is hate? How many more people will support you if it is you show love over hate? How many more things can you accomplish? How many more things can greatness be shown for what it is you may not be aware you can accomplish? How many more relationships would it be that you might grow if it is that love, instead of hate, you happen to show? Even if it is in the presence of your enemies. Never know on a future date if they change to your friends instead of your enemies. Does that mean that you must like them? Does that mean you must associate? Does that mean that you must support either? Just means instead of acting in a vengeful state, act in a way that you give them at least a few chances. After that, it is their own fault for what happens after that. For it is you can show a horse upon where the water is, but you cannot make them drink. Every time you act with an individual, do not forget there can be ones watching for what it is you do. What kind of result do you wish to get? One that, because of the way you act and hate, you know what? I won't associate with them because of what they just did. Even if it was justified. Once that line is crossed, though, in the most part, ones that will see upon how it is you act will be ones in areas that you've already been, so they will know what it is and why. So at that point, your friendship with them, more than likely, it will not die, for it is they know upon why. I'm not saying that you must treat everyone, no matter upon what it is you do, in that way. After a certain limit, no more love can you show them upon that day. Of course, it is you that picks that limit. But upon the third is a good limit. Anything beyond that, you take a small risk when you choose to do that. Doesn't mean what it is they wish to accomplish is successful. It just means that, overall, your strength is beyond what most could ever have. Not talking physical, by the way. To act nice to someone that criticizes you or attacks you, and smile in their face. Shows a characteristic rarely ever seen at this place. Let it shine through on how it is you react. But of course, keep in mind, at certain times, not nice must you act. Doesn't matter if it is that one that crossed the line. It could be the very next one that chooses to engage with you. If it is within the same line of what it is you dealt with the previous time. To try hard though, there is nothing wrong with such things as this. To show love even when all others would not do this. It shows a part of character that no other has developed. Beyond their comprehension and why or how it could be developed. But this compassion cannot be perceived as a weakness. But of course, to have compassion is not a weakness. It just shows you believe ones can change upon what it is they are. You are looking at something at this point that is beyond what they can see. It is so much far. Beyond what it is that is their perception. Beyond what it is they can see with their own perception. Some say I will not believe it until it is that I see it. Thing about ones that are compassionate as it is that I speak, or show a love as it is I speak. They are able to see farther than most will ever see. Or are capable. They look at what it is that can be. If it is that person decides for it to be seen for what it is. To show a love such as this. Such a rarity to see such things as this. Of course, boundaries must be made. Having compassion and being stepped on are two different things. One that starts to take advantage. Prove to them they cannot take advantage. But still, show it in the midst of this. Whatever decision you make, tell them because of this. If it is they choose not to change that specific, then make what it is you will do because of that very specific. Doesn't mean you declare upon what it is you will do in a situation that you are not in this situation to do. Give a slight, very vague example. I have a friend in my life I've watched struggle. And as if today, because of one decision that he has made, I can no longer associate with him. I've already made that very clear to him multiple times and it's past that point that I have to show love that he can change. So the next time I have to speak to him, I have to tell him, sorry, man, but you're no longer able to be anywhere close to me until you fix this. Kinda hurts, to be honest, when it is you have to do such things as this. But also, tough love has to be shown at times when it is that it is required to be shown. But to let it shine through, even if you have a situation that you have a friend, particular issues separate you. But of course, still leave that door open. If you are able to leave that door open. To do such a thing, to try and try again. To be nice, as long as they do not attack for what it is you do. Of course, defending if it is they choose to do. But showing love still. By doing so, maybe later, that might be something that does not apply. One of the hardest is probably your friends. Maybe get into the wrong crowd. The opposite of what it is that you would call friends. Do you still associate, or do these things have to end? Easiest path for this is draw lines, my friend. But to let it show because it is maybe you care. Even about someone that under normal circumstances most would not care. Shows in their life at least there is one that cares. That could be the one thing that that individual happened to need. But also, they must do upon what it is that they need. Cannot be with wishful thinking. If it is, they are doing the opposite upon what it is they should be thinking. Show love even as it is a heart breaks. Even as your decision, you may have to think and hesitate. For it is you might care beyond what it is. In truth, you might think you care. To show it until the point that you know it's been taken advantage of. At that point, you cannot deny it's been taken advantage of. A love beyond what it is that most would ever show. Even if it is, they do or do not know. To do such a thing as this. It is a selfless act to do such things as this. But you cannot be taken advantage if it is you choose to do such things as this. Do not expect ones to understand. Do not think that ones without a true love that is unconditional will understand. For one that would show love even to their enemies, or ones that might take advantage, an unconditional love is shown. At this point, you just must determine if it is taken advantage. Take the steps upon what it is you might have to do. Decide, they cannot walk upon me. Not take advantage of the love and belief they can be different than what it is they think they cannot be different. We'll come across this particular type of circumstance. For ones, for whatever reason, they always repeat the same circumstance. Like a dog that goes back to their vomit. Forgot what the taste is, so they must go back to their vomit. But knowing upon the fact, all they have to do is merely change that. And what it is they might struggle with would change if it was only that one time they decided, I am ready to change. Showing love even when it is that most would not. You must decide the limit. It cannot be for everlasting. Though your unconditional can be everlasting. If it is, you leave the door open. That is an unconditional by leaving the door open. If it is that certain things were to change. to show such love, to believe that there can be a change beyond what it is that this one thinks they might be capable of. Believe. But of course, it does not mean for what it is you wish for this one will be seen. For they are the one that must pick. For you are not the one that has the right for them to pick. But to show love upon what it is, and remind them for what it is. And all that you do, regardless upon who it is you speak, or conversate, or happen to be in the same place, to show a love such as this, shows true strength when it is you choose to do this. Well, looks like I need to take an intermission, all that good stuff. Be a good time for you to do so if you wish. All that good stuff. Also a good time to think of any comments that you might want to put out there about my stream up to this point. All that. Another thing I'll mention real quick as well, as far as the motivational poetry, if it is that you like what it is that you're hearing, I also make that available under Gaming with Knack. Inspirations of a Gamer. That is without the game content, though. Is there anything that you don't know about where it is, maybe, that you wish to go? Is there a feeling that maybe you get that you cannot understand why it is you happen to get? You might want to analyze this. Is it good? Is it bad? Does it help you get to where you wish to be, my lady or lad? Or does it hinder where it is you wish to be? Which one is it that you happen to see? If it's not pushing forward, should you be thinking about that? Why it is you're moving forward? Do you maybe not know which direction you should go? It's okay if it is that you do not know. But it's something that if it is that you wish to grow, it's something that you might want to try to find out and know. The best way to answer which way to go. What do you do well? Do you know? Do you know where that might lead? Do you know how to find the results that you need for this, for you to see? If you don't, maybe ask around. Surely, someone around you might know. Do you know what it is you wish to do? How much time have you spent on developing you? A little statistic. It takes 10,000 hours to become an expert in your field. Have you spent that? If you haven't, there's plenty of work. If it is that you haven't. But even then, you can still get farther, for that is not the end. Have you considered questions that give you answers to your questions? Just as the same as what I have asked you. Do you have an answer for what it is I have asked you? If you don't, how do you expect to go forward? What is it that you want? Why do you want it? And how long until it is that you want it? Do you not know which direction to go? Do you know what you are good at? Efficiently at that you can grow. Or are you in the exploring stage? Try many things. You never know, you could be good at multiple things. But you never know if you do not try. Not always easy to tell what it is you're good at. A lot of times, though, if you ask, what am I good at? The best advice as far as this. One of the few things that most people make mistakes when they do this. Ask someone that you hardly know. Not someone that wishes to not hurt you. For ones that care a lot of times, they're not always honest with you at those times. For they do not wish to hurt your feelings. I'm sure you've seen examples of this many times. Much easier to get someone not involved to answer the question at times. Sometimes they may not, but also something else you can remember upon this spot. If this is something you cannot find, practice for a certain allotted amount of time. The more time you spend on something, the better you will get. Is it something you're not talented at? Well, you're not good at? You wish to become better in this? Well, spend the allotted amount of time in the midst of this. Immerse yourself in what it is. Listen to things similar to what it is. For what it is that you are around the most. These are the things that you will show the most. Or at least traits of. For many years did I listen to motivation things before I decided to do such things. Personal example in these such things. You may or may not notice it as well in such things. But pay attention to the timing I say in such things. Wish to make it more interesting while you listen to such things? Take some music that has no words. Combine it along with my words. You be surprised upon what it is you hear. One of the few instruments as far as music goes. That for me that is easiest is drums and bass. The two timekeepers in that profession, in that place. Knew how to drum before I knew what one was. First time I got on one. Could play beats without hardly any effort. Even when I was younger, when music was playing at a restaurant, when it was that I was younger, I would find two knives and I would play in perfect time. Before I knew what a drum set was at that time. Just a small example of what I mean. You may end up doing what is best and not even know that you are. It's more the timing of what I speak. That's what I mean by that. It is within a certain time. If you were to put music, you would notice a specific time. Even if it was that I chose to go fast. Regardless what it was, you would notice it even if I chose to go fast. Just double what it is that was before. No matter what it is, or how I say before. But the question is, I ask you once more, have you spent the time? Do you know why it is you wish to? Are you still searching? Is this unknown to you? If any of this applies to you, then more than likely, if it is you actually wish to have growth, then you know what it is for you to achieve this growth that you must do. Answer the questions. The questions I have asked. Does not mean that you may be able to answer it fast. But it looks as if my time has gone too fast. At this point, I would answer questions if there was any, but considering there isn't any, I will continue on to the next one. Oh, I'm going to have to adjust this a little bit. Wrong way. You'll have to give me a second to get back into everything. Okay. Let love show, no matter what it is that another would happen to show. Don't let your decisions of what it is that you'll show another be influenced by one that does not care or wish growth for another. If it is they wish the opposite, do you really wish to associate with the opposite? One that does not wish to see someone be better? Is not the point to help each other get better? To let things shine such as this? Why is it that very few even consider such things as this? Is it that they matter or think that for whatever reason or matter, their importance is more than another? That may be so in certain points, but let me address something amongst in the middle of these points. How is it that you expect to be someone that is important that you think you happen to be, if the ones that could help you for this you wish to achieve? You do not give what it is that is required for you to be able to do. You get what I'm saying to you? There may be someone that you are being mean to that is holding you back because they are able to do something that you are not. They're the only one that can do it upon this spot. Because of the fact that you show them hate, you are not able to show the full extent of what it is you might be able to do. Did you know that? You ever think of that concept? The one person that might be able to help you be this important thing that you think you are is the very person you're being mean to, and you wish to get how far? If you think you can do everything alone, very hard, and it takes longer as it is you choose to do it alone. So why would you do such a thing as that? When it is to show love, how much farther can you get with that? The one individual that you think may be less than you can get you farther than you can alone. But yet you choose to do it alone? Very bad way of thinking. As far as progress, if it is that is what you're seeking. To show love when it is that no one else does. How much farther can you get? For if this you does. Now, granted, I've already said, drawing that limit upon the fact that compassion that you're showing a little extra, at some point, they take advantage. You must act because you know they have taken advantage. It can only be a weakness if it is that you choose to continue. If it is, you've noticed you've been taken advantage and choose not to continue. No longer can that be such as that. And when it is you choose to do such things as that, you show love, but instead, you show more of a hard love. One that has no bounds, but still leaves the door open if there is change about. To be taken advantage is different. For anyone that has ever done any kind of work as far as helping another, they already know there are boundaries that you, at that point, will not help that other. On that boundary, you must turn and walk away. For they will not listen, they take advantage. Your compassion is no longer able to be in their advantage. For at that point, they are beyond what it is you can help. Must acknowledge upon the fact, no matter if you're nice, it will not help. Still, you can show love as it is you choose to do this. With only certain conditions can they get beyond this. Stiff and stern, steadfast, until it is they choose to learn. Love is not always easy to show. For many see it, and the first thing they think when it happens to be shown. I can take advantage of what it is I happen to see for what it is shown. Must know upon what boundary you have. At that point, technically speaking, compassion no longer do you actually have. Still love shown in a way of compassion. But when one stabs you in the back, how many more times can you show compassion? What, one, two, maybe three? I don't know. There was already a good example given to me. Of how many times this compassion is to be seen. Beyond that, love is still there. But it is in the way that they might see you do not care. For one that thinks what it is they do something that you have mentioned you will not tolerate, they continue to do it. You must show you will not tolerate. But before it is that this happens, these are things more than likely they will happen. At times you show this love that I speak. Depending on if it is that change and better these seek. They'll either A, push that boundary and see how far they can go with that boundary. You must stop them fast. Make sure that you know where it is you stand and they do as well, and do it fast. Do so as soon as you see what it is that you have already said. If you do this, it is what it is. Warn as it is that you must. And then act as it is that you must. Showing the love to them can be hard at times. Whoever it is, it may even make you cry. What it is that you know their life can be better. If it is only they chose for it to be better. But this love that you are to show reaches no bounds for what it is. For ones that do not take advantage, it will show. Above and beyond what it is that any could ever expect. In every situation, regardless, there's positive, that is, project. And when times become harder than what it might be now, for an enemy upon that time you might have as a friend now. If only you show the love when it is that most would not show such a thing at times as it is you wish to show. They will be confused, not understand why is it that love they show. But still be stern, still do what it is you must do to show what it is you must show that there is strength within you to deal with what it is they say or try to do. Very hard things to do, but then more than likely, you may end up getting another friend, more than likely. Never know upon what it is that might happen. Never know what kinds of things in the midst of your life can happen. Never know what kind of advancements and what it is your life could be if it was only love. That ones that need to see. But also make sure they know you cannot step upon me. Love that you show it must be, even when other things might distract upon what it is one might hear or see. Love beyond what it is that most in their life will ever see. One that many may think, how can it be? Above and beyond what it is that most will ever know. Most, regardless, these things they cannot show, for they do not have the strength to have self-control. No matter how it is that one might perceive this love that is being spoken by me. There's one thing if it is you choose to show. I guarantee upon the fact if it is you happen to show. Ones that act towards you in a manner of hate. Watch them as it is you show this love. For a few short moments they hesitate, not understanding upon what it is they might have seen. For it is they cannot comprehend for what it is they have seen. And it makes them question upon what it is they might have done. Easy way for a simple battle to be won. Others, as it is, they watch as it is you engage, will notice that self-control that I spoke, and they can gauge how much more it is that you might have than the other. Find out how much strength they have more than the other. Once limits have been reached, though, that's when it is a different kind of love happens to show. Unwavering and relentless. For at times, even love has to be relentless. Unconditional, regardless upon what it is they might have done. To where if change is shown, then it is as if they have never done. Love like this is beyond rare. But you can tell upon what it is, when it is there. And when it is not. Know upon the fact when it is your love is taken advantage upon this spot. For it is a two-way street. If it is that love is what you show, but advantage is what they take upon what it is you show. After whatever may be your limit, do not show it again, for that is your limit. Does that necessarily mean that specific person? Just a subject that is related. If it is, you speak to two different individuals, but the subject is related. You do not know if it is they speak to each other. But also still try to show. If it is that no one respects your answer no, at that point, your no has to be more than just no. It must be a relentless, heartless show of no. Same thing applies when it is that one takes advantage. At some point, if they continue to take advantage, you must say no in a way that for sure they know. Even though it is that your no is to mean no, your yes is to mean yes. No in between, no other. Then your yes is yes and your no is no. In the same way, in your love you should show. Of course, also, I will mention as well, if it is you have a similar subject going on in two places as well, even though it might be that you already know the answer, for all before that have already seen. You must think in a way that is slightly unique. For, technically speaking, this boundary you have already seen. But a different individual for that happened to be seen. Your limit was met. Technically speaking, what under that is it that they get? When you notice adjustments must be made in the way that you operate from day to day. Must consider they may not speak to each other, even though the previous is already made. Your boundary, but so did the other. But yet have you spoke to the second. So how is it, properly, to address the second? Even if it is your boundary has been met, you cannot treat the second as it is the first. Less conversation, but still met by the first. Give you an example upon what it is I mean. With what it is I do, all that. I get very many messages. Some people do it in a certain way. Some people are very blunt upon what it is they're actually wanting to speak to you about. I had one that kind of beat around the bush first. Said what it is they wanted to say. Almost directly after, someone else said the same thing, but they did not beat around the bush. Both have met that. So, how do I treat the first compared to the second? The boundary was already met. Do you still treat the second one just like you would the first? Or do you treat the second one like you did when they beat it around the bush with the first? Interesting question. I have an interesting answer to that question. Something I just recently started doing myself. I act as if I have never talked to anyone other than that person, like it's the first time that they've talking to me. No matter what it is they said before. Every time they try to speak to me, I specifically make sure that myself happens to know that I have not talked to this person yet. I cannot be rude, even if they have every right to deserve that. And usually that's only ones that I have to repeat my answer and they will not take it. Or they say something that is insulting. But I got a nice little method for that. Think of a funny cartoon or something that makes you laugh. Think of that character's name. Say, hello, whatever that name is. And smile as you do it. And just try to imagine that they have not talked to you at all yet. And then, when they don't answer or listen to you, what it is you say, what it is you say, after your limit is hit, then you tried. No matter if it is that even before they open their mouth or start to text you, you already know what it is they're going to say and the manner they'll say it. A lot of times, if I have to find myself doing that, I already know what they're going to say before they even come up with the idea of saying it. Trying not to be rude. It's something that I personally worked with and dealt with. I've been rude to a few people that may not have deserved it, but I've learned from it a better way to deal with it. Anyone that has recently engaged with me probably can tell the difference upon how it is I react with them, depending on what it is they wish to speak to me about, and which order they are. Sometimes I'll get 5 or 6 messages about the exact same thing, and they say the same thing. And I find myself saying, hello, whatever the name is. Because 2 days ago, I told them the exact same answer I gave them 5 days ago, 10 days ago, however many days it is. At that point, you kind of reach your limit. So, had to find a new way to find a new limit. Showing love beyond what it is they might deserve. Beyond what it is that most would ever act or try to give to them in that circumstance. Try repeating yourself for 1 year, 15 times per day. After that 1 year, how frustrated would you be? And to deal with it every day. Something that never goes away. Do you have to find a way to be polite? Show love beyond what it is that most would do? I'm pretty sure somebody had to answer the same question 20,000 times in a single day. By the end of that day, they'd be very frustrated, would they not? And anybody else that mentioned that? Ho ho ho. So how do you combat against this? Show a love that is beyond what it is that most would do with this. Do you have to find a way to be civil in a way that, for most, we'll never, ever have to deal with? Most get frustrated if they have to say it twice in a day. Imagine doing it 15 or 20 times. Oh, and by the way, you don't have to do it very often either when you do it twice a day. What, maybe once a week? Maybe twice a week? Maybe once a month? Every day for a year. 15 times. 5 times. So how do you deal with that much? Most people can't handle the 2. Hello, miss. Or hello, mister. Makes me laugh every time I say it, too. Or, if it is, they just said something that insults me really bad. Or a question that I don't want to enjoy answering. I wait a while. That's just my personal practice at this point, but each person has their own way to do it. That is, somebody that deals with that. Somebody that's a communicator, or somebody that does streams and content and other things. They'll have to deal with this a lot more than an average person would. Beyond what anyone could ever expect to actually have to deal with. But you still have to be nice. Even though, at times, you would be so frustrated, so aggravated, that you would just want to rip everybody's heads off. It's not easy. Oh man, it's been a fun experience for that. I've had a few that I had to repeat myself 5 times, and finally I just had to block them because I couldn't deal with it no more. Same answer, every time. And then the same person, maybe, or another one, did the same thing. It's like, do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? How do you deal with it? Sorry for the little ramble there, but do you try to just accept the fact that that's something you have to work on and strive to change that because you noticed such things? Or do you continue to be mean when it is that you know you must do something different? Do you try to show that love that I spoke of, that it happens to be different? Even if it's a love that one would take advantage of? If it was not that you had the boundaries to ensure? To act as if you have never spoken to that person, even if you have spoken to them every day. You realize how hard that is. But also, what kind of power is there in that? What can you achieve with that? Is there a way that you could be beyond what it is when it's time for you to see? When it's time that maybe because of the fact you treated them nicely, what it is that you very specifically and tried to be polite to say that no to them, but they would not take that answer. If you're mean, would you be able to use that if you needed to? What it was they might have offered that you said no? More than likely, you couldn't. For they would be insulted. and they would say no to you. That's just a recent thing that I started personally. Because I noticed I was, at times, not very nice. But also paying attention to what it is that made me not nice. That alone opened for what it is I needed to change, for I seen it with my eyes. Constantly improving, constantly becoming better. A love such as this, it always becomes better. Beyond what it is that another might expect. Showing a love that even if you did not at first, which I'll admit I wasn't doing that, but after considering, what kind of love would you change the way you're showing after these kinds of considering? Think of all those people you might have pushed away. Can they possibly become a comrade or a friend the next day? If it is, you do not show a love with a boundary of how far. If they pass that, well, they went too far. Just think of one person that might have irritated you. Thinking of what it is they might be able to do that you are not. What kind of stopping yourself did you do by treating them mean at that spot? Just think about that for a few seconds. What could they have done to aid you later if it was that you showed love so they might be willing to aid you later? Instead of showing hate, pushing them away, losing an opportunity to maybe make a new friend the next day. A love beyond what it is that most would show. How much love to ones that not necessarily you think you should show? How much do you show? Are you compassionate? Are you not? But if it is that you are not, how many connections did you lose upon that spot? How many hookups upon the fact of what it is you might have been able to do did you lose because you decided to be rude? How many did I lose? Good question. So how many more could you make if it was you were to act in this way? Does that mean you must agree with? 'Cause you never know. Later on, you may end up agreeing with. What kind of application could that be if you were to apply this? What kind of endless possibilities is there for doing this compared to the other? Something I had to learn myself. Of course, many times, people do not understand until they have to learn themselves. That's simple psychology, is it not? You ever put your finger in a light socket? Ever put your hand upon the stove? Ever do something and your mom and dad happen to say no? Ever have an experience that you wish that would have been different? Showing this love in situations that could be applied. How many relationships and hookups and connections would you have and would have not died? Now, when I speak of hookups, I speak of connections. Like, hey man, I got this hookup that can take and fix computers. That's what I speak of. Man, I got this hookup. He's so good with art design. Man, I got this hookup. He makes some of the best chicken ever made. That's what I'm speaking of. So how many of those connections are you missing out on by not doing such things? So it makes you miss out on. It's kind of like, I know a guy, a friend of a friend. Oh man, I got the friend, he can do this. Anyway, so thinking of this, how differently will you act as it is you might think of this? Well, that looks like all the time I have for now. So until next time.